Let me try it again here. Testing? Well, now it works. Now it works. One foot.
Yeah. We have another mic, so
Testing? 1, 2, 3.
yeah,
No, but that's the wrong.
default one.
Default
It's
one.
not-
Testing? 1, 2, 3. Let's see here. Testing? 1, 2, 3. Let's see the USB there. Testing? 1, 2, 3. I'll let you. I'll get ready.
Repeat after us. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo Saranto Suchetoye Ahari Samya Samputoshe. Namo Saranto Suchetoye Ahari Samya Samputoshe. Together. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Repeat after us. Supreme and wondrous Dharma. Supreme and wondrous Dharma. Subtle and profound. Subtle and profound. Rarely is encountered. Rarely is encountered. Even in billions of eons. Even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it. Now we see and hear it. Within our sight and hearing. Within our sight and hearing. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning.
Testing. Testing.
For those who weren't here, was born in Poland, and he said that in Poland, like 99.9% of people being Buddhist is very rare. And as a young boy, his mom actually left the family to America and said not to come back. So his parents were loyal. And because of that break, he felt very deeply hurt. And he found his refuge in alcohol. Where are you living on the edge? Did you give us a quick story? Pretty crazy, okay? So you're still alive, but
Nirvana occurs from the civil thing.
yeah.
All my heroes over there.
Yeah.
Another
story. All the music bands during that time were really cool. Drugs, So, okay, so he at one point though realized this was not going anywhere and discovered Buddhism and discovered some very sincere practitioners. And one was actually a nun at CBD, having met Master Hua in the 1990 delegation. So he got the Sixth Patriarch Sutra, the Platform Sutra, studied it, and it became like a mirror of his own life, seeing, what was he doing with himself? And so I think right after the 2000 Y2K, he had a really bad hangover from partying too much the night before. And he made a vow, I gotta live differently. I gotta live differently. I'm done with that. And that was like a turning point for him, where he actually felt like he really started this Buddhist path. And then later, working as a volunteer in a cancer hospital, he saw people, at the end of their lives. And no one planned to go to the hospital and get cancer. It just happened, like old age, sickness, and death. And so he felt, wow, one of these hospital beds is going to be for me someday, and I'm not ready. I'm not ready for dying. So what am I waiting for? So in his heart, he had this wish to maybe explore the spiritual path, and maybe leave home. But he's in Poland, right? Doesn't speak English, doesn't speak Chinese. So this
Or Cantonese.
or Cantonese, or Hokkien, or Vietnamese, right? He's Polish. And seeing 2,000 Buddhas in his mind from his friend was like the Pure Land. He's going to go to the Pure Land and learn the Dharma, where all the monks and nuns are arhats. At least arhats. So he flies over to America with his 2 suitcases, leaves his girlfriend behind, leaves his beloved grandma behind, and does CBD. And after 2 weeks at CBD, at this point he's also still bowing 1,500 times a day, on top of the CBD schedule. It starts at 4 a.m. in the morning to 9:30 p.m. So he's getting up like at 3 a.m. or something to start bowing his 1,500 bows, because he's like super hardcore. So he's working at the farm. He's cold. He's also eating 1 meal a day. He's not wearing a lot of clothing because you're a cultivator. You're a setter. You're not supposed to freeze to death. You do not ski. Okay, you starve to death. You do not beg. Okay, so freezing, starving, a little bit dying. And so he's in the farm, psychological dying. He's in the farm and he's crying, missing his girlfriend. He's like, I don't know if I can take this anymore, And he goes to meet Doug Powers, one of the senior teachers, and elder disciples of Master Huang, who has a class at CWB, maybe on a bi-weekly basis. I think every 2 weeks he would come up and teach. And so Jing Wei Shu went to ask Doug, I just can't take this anymore. What do I do? In his broken English. And Doug tells him, if in your cultivation you're comfortable, then you're probably not cultivated. Okay, so Jing Wei Shu made that his kind of Dharma teaching. So for sure he's not comfortable. Now, from that point, the question was still, how did he end up actually as Jing Wei Shu now, wearing robes and doing a Guanyin session in English here at Gold Coast Dharma Realm. So we'll continue the story about leaving home. So they're crying on the farm, just asked Doug for advice. What happened next?
Yes.
Also, my job is to every so often pause, and I'll give like a little bit of a commentary on Jing Wei Shu's story.
Well, I remember this morning. It was very cold, and I was crying, talk to God, as Shanshi says. And he really inspired me in some sense. His presence was inspiring. He has kind of a confidence that you see that what he speaks, he lives it. And this is a kind of a true words from the heart. And not for show in any way. It's very authentic. So it always kind of gives me a sense of confidence. So okay, you are. The true cultivation, you meet challenges. He says it. I got it, I was very uncomfortable, but it was inspiring, but this discomfort doesn't cease. It still was a thorn in my heart. As Yutrasha says, I grew up in Poland. Buddhists, monastics, I met one in Latvia from Ajahn Chah tradition, from New Zealand man actually, Ajahn Tanya from Marathi, and just few other monastics. I don't know actually what this means to be a monastic. I had a lot of romantic visions about that lifestyle and being the monastery itself, and so came to City of 10,000 Buddhas. And my main knowledge was from the books, what was translated, never published, but we have a few good translators to translate the Masterclass talks. And it's interesting, when many of those talks we gave, it was a lot of Westerners, because it's different than Buddhists. You know, so I assumed that I would come to, like maybe 90% would be Western, you know, community. And I came there, it was an opposite. You have to really look at around to find any Westerners.
It's kind of like now, like how many Westerners in the room?
So I have to go and look in the mirror, you know, okay. Okay, this is a condition. And you know, I was you know, my family was Catholic, obviously, and grandma, but I hated going to the Mass in the church, because parents forced me. Go to the Mass, you know, and you stand there, it's so boring, you know. But somehow I went through, you know, and I stopped going, you know, as maybe 14 years old. So came to City of 10,000 Buddhas, go to the Buddha Hall, and it's like, oh no, it's not just an hour Mass once a week, it's a Mass every day, 6 hours in Chinese. Gosh, what's going on? This is how we can survive that. And of course, I don't have any Chinese. I remember, you know, we have like Guanyin sessions, all Chinese. And to be honest, I love Chinese liturgy. In Poland, today actually I have a kind of flashback. When we started lunch, it was Shuangama mantra going, the ancient eternal. I so remember this tune because I chant this in Poland, you know, every day. You know, so I was very familiar with Chinese liturgy and ceremonies, but you know, like 6 hours a day was a little too much. So I couldn't kind of understand what's happening, you know, what's going on. I remember this Guanyin session, and it's amazing to see this Asian disciples who are coming. There's a lot of kind of excitement in the air. Really, oh wow, we do Fahui, you know, all together, you know, it's like a celebration. You know, coming and chanting in Chinese, like, so hard. It's like, whoa. You know, I have a feeling that time is to say what I felt. Like you bought the ticket to the cinema theater, you went to the movie, it's full audience, joyful, great, and you know, the movie starts, and everyone starts speaking Italian, and some kind of romantic, you know, Italian serenades. And I, of course, I'm not Italian. I don't understand what's going on. And okay, I'm now watching this movie, or I become even a part of it. So it's like, okay, this is an interesting experience. And by the way, a few times we get a chance, this kind of was irony. I have this flashback memory. Jinchuan and myself actually laughed during the Guanyin session, the CTTV, you know, as a Wayno school MP. And I by myself with full enthusiasm.
What? 15 years later.
Yeah, 15 years later. It takes me a while to adapt, actually start chanting. But I'm really enjoying the ceremony. But at the time, like, you know, like we have English Day and Chinese Day, right? So in some point I says, it's too much Chinese. I will try. So I came to the Buddha Hall and don't change. I stand there and kind of resentfully, you know, okay. I'm too cool for that. I don't know. I will not go there. Maybe 3-4 days I have a strike, my Chinese strike. And I go back and okay, this is where I am. This is the conditions where I find myself. And I remember this kind of a little moments of encouragement. One of them was seeing their master Heng Shun, American face, Western face. You know, he's in the first row in the dining hall when we receive food, and seeing his kind of smiling face, for me was like, oh wow, it's very kind of nourishing, it's kind of inspiring. Oh, he's happy here. He's somehow happy. Not me, not yet, not yet.
It's possible.
I have to maybe bow, 10,000 more to get there, Sometimes my eye corner go to the left side, to the non-side. I see their Master Yang. Oh, another Westerner face. She's kind of chill too. This means, okay. And when I arrived, also now it came to me, kind of reflecting, their Master Chi. She gave a series of talk of Heart Sutra and AO.
Yeah, I remember.
Every Monday. And seeing her, she was not just happy, she was super confident with this Dharma, with Master Huang, this teaching. So this kind of feeling that those people who in fact in robes, not born in this kind of culture, they can find home here, and it's kind of it support me in some invisible way. And also their master, their master Heng Shun have every Thursday. We gather after evening ceremony, and he told the stories of Master Hua. Like to Reverend Heng Shun. It was very inspiring for me to hear directly from him, in English. I started learning English because I was also couldn't communicate it well at the time. So this was the moment when slowly I kind of, how I can find here home, how I can find the confidence to. At this point, I remember I meant the vow, right? That I won't become monk in this life. In the city TV, oh wow, it will be tough. I don't know how I will do it, yet. I have to, I don't say pause, but I have uncertainty. And especially people always come to me, where are you leaving home? I said, oh, wait, just wait for a moment, I have to find a confidence, I cannot just do something against myself,
Maybe I can add a little bit, this is kind of a specific commentary. But I actually think it's really important to just reflect on what Jing Weisher was saying, is that for actually people to leave home, you actually have to feel like this can be your home. And I think what happens for a lot of the Westerners or Americans or Polish or whoever comes to the monastery, when they come in, they're not sure if they can make it their home. Because maybe the culture or maybe what's going on. I think that's actually true for everyone. Asians as well. I've seen Asians come to the monastery and somehow they don't feel like they can really be welcomed and accepted here. And that's the interesting thing. There's plenty of cultivation in terms of going to the Buddha hall practice, but that sense of we're a family, we take care of each other, we care about each other. What I found is that's what maintains somebody for the long run, is the relational field. And so I just want to mention that. It's like Jing Weisher was just mentioning the senior teachers, and it's not just a horizontal friendship, it's also vertical. So that there's elders that we see, is like, oh, like we have Reverend Heng Shi here, right? We see Dharma Master Chi. For sure, Dharma Master Chi was a very important kind of inspiring figure for myself as well, as somebody who walked this path, who grew up in America. Because I grew up in America, so although I look Chinese, probably most of my thinking is American.
You're like a banana.
Yeah,
right?
it's like just like that, yeah.
Inside white.
Inside white, outside yellow, that's the joke. So, so I just want to make that point. It's like, actually, how do we make a place like the monastery that people can feel at home? To me, that's what actually allows people to really leave home. Actually, we like to say leaving home isn't leaving home, it's actually returning.
Returning home.
Returning to a deeper home. Because I think the other thing about leaving home, what it creates is also a division with the family. So my mom's actually here. And I think when you hear the word 出家, it's almost like somehow I failed as a parent and not leaving the household.
I lost him.
I lose him. And I think what she felt and what I felt isn't that so much we lost each other. I started out kind of cutting off my family because that's what I thought was the way you do it. But rather, no, you actually deeply care about the family. And the cultivation becomes a way you care for the family at a deeper place. And somehow things start to heal invisibly in a deeper place that allows everything to work out. And so we said, leaving home should be like returning home to our true home. Okay.
Yeah, the two important elements was there in equation too. From time to time, I was a SLTP student, Sangha and Lady Training Program to get a visa, to be there. And my supervisor, Dharma Master Yong, who is coming here, and so he gave me actually a permission to go once a month to Baguio.
Really?
Yeah, for Saturday.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, I drove you.
You drove me.
Yeah, I remember. We had a.
I have to find the car. We have to find the car. Okay. And it was a kind of a taking an oxygen to breathe. Because you come there, you see all Caucasian faces.
Yeah, like a 95% Caucasian.
95% Caucasians. And you know, Ajahn Pasano was the abbot at the time. They didn't have that fancy place like right now.
Yeah.
It was a very little house, and on the right side was the kitchen and library. So in the Saturdays they have a meditation, and after meditation was a talk, and they sit through the night, you know. But we return earlier. But hearing like Ajahn Pasano, and many times actually he quoted Master Hua in his talks, and seeing someone happy, truly happy, it's like wow. And you see those monks, they knew how they wear their robes. You know, you see the large community of people who fully dedicate their lives in this Western context. It was very inspiring for me to see, very kind of touched my heart very deeply.
Describe a little bit. So what I actually think people may not know how Vaigiri looks like, but they really uphold the Vinaya. Today Master Hua talked about the Vinaya, right? How important it is for the Dharma to survive, how you use it to discern. And the Vinaya isn't just precepts, it's also how you care for each other. I talk about how you make something family. They really care for the elders. If they approach the senior monk, they approach on their knees.
Yeah.
They walk up on their knees, never getting higher than that senior monk, and they offer 2 hands. And they walk back, palms together. And they pay their respect. And you see it comes from the heart. These are Westerners who are, you know, super equality emphasis, right? In America, everybody's equal. But they've learned, wow, you honor your elders. And you really express it with your full sincerity. And Ajahn Pasma also really represented that too. When elders come for him, he really takes care of them. And this kind of mutual care, you really feel. And that's, I think for us, when we went there, it was like very nourishing for us because like, whoa, this is how the monastic life can be embodied in a community.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that sense of confidence. Like those who met Ajahn Pasano, he has a look of a warrior. It's like, boom!
Like Chirfasher.
Like Chirfasher. And super gentle. But very clear with his principles. You know?
Yeah.
It's black is black, white is white. You know?
Yeah.
At the same time, it's called in this very soft way, what is very inspiring to see. And you know, like Jinchuan said, they make them home. So they usually have a layman who opened the door for the monastics and for others. Little gesture of service in the community and done with this kind of heart of care.
Yeah, they really honor the Vinaya. So all the rules they hold very strictly, right? And everything in the monastery is designed around making the Vinaya at the centerpiece as the form for training the heart. And you just see how beautifully the Buddha designed this training to allow for deep transformation.
And whole monastery is shining that clean. Shining. I never seen before that clean places. You know, that one of the Ajahn Chah standards of the, how you can tell that people cultivate really in the monastery? Check their restrooms, toilets. If they're messy, oh, they don't pay attention. You know, and so it's interesting when you enter there, it's like, ooh, you come to another space.
Yeah.
And it was definitely, and that was the one element. So once a month, I have this dose of Kapegiri. And also Jinchuanshi, I remember one of the, and I read a lot of bowing journals. I think Joe is reading them. And they very inspire me every evening. I remember it was my routine. Before sleep, I take a 1 page. I don't have much energy to do more, but I read it. And one day, Jin Chuanshi was a novice at the time. It was Qin Xian Shi.
No, that's your name.
I'm Jin. It's my name. You are Jin Wei.
Yeah, Jin Wei.
Jin Wei Shi.
Jin Wei Shi.
Boom boom. Oh, you want to go for a walk? Yes, sure. So we go walk, and he gave me recordings of Ajahn Amaro's talk. All of them. Recorded. Ajahn Amaro was the co-founder of Abhayagiri Monastery, and you remember, Rabbi Angshu told the story that Master Hua donated the land for them, so they established the monastery. Very close, 30 minutes drive from 10,000 Buddhas. So I listened a lot of those talks.
This is no Ajahn Amaro. He himself said at one point he was an undercover DRBA monk in Ajahn Chah's lineage. He took the Bodhisattva precepts. He cultivated compassion mantra. He for a period of time practiced sleeping, sitting up, and he tried to eat onions and garlic, and it was almost not easy in the monastery until finally Master Hua came into a dream for him, and basically in the dreams told him, "Why do you want my toenails?" And he, like a good Shan master, he reflected on. He realized he was running after the small things. He needs to just do his practices with authenticity, but still keep that spirit. So he still, maintained the Theravada practice, and now he's like the main leader of the Ajahn Chah lineage in Amaravati Monastery, right? So anyway, so Ajahn Amaro was another major. Actually, he was the person who inspired me to become a Buddhist. Was actually seeing Ajahn Amaro.
Yeah, exactly. So, and his voice, I think it's the same. What I saw with Master Shun, Master Chi, is seeing the Westerners who make they practice their own. This is the Dharma. I'm for it. I can do it. I can walk this path. And as a side note, sometimes Ajahn Amaro gave a talks from his kuti, for his place when he's staying in England, Amaravati. And when you look at on the wall behind him, who is there? A big, huge picture of Master Empty Cloud, Master Shuyun. Same is in Ajahn Jayasaro in Thailand, and same is in Ajahn Suchita's room. That's a side note how those traditions are kind of connected.
Yeah.
So we kind of Dharma brothers in many ways. And so this was the kind of important thing as well. But back to my practice, I was still what we call Dharma Marine, on the mission. I will work hard, I could say hard, harsh, hard. I was quite hard, with 1,512 bows. I can bow 108 bows in 6 minutes or 5 minutes. I don't know, very fast.
Very fast. Yeah, I was like crazy. I was like, wow, he's gonna hurt himself. My goodness. It's as fast as possible you can move, going up and down.
Okay, seat full of others, and then so forth. And I already had the one surgery on my knee. But who cares?
Freezing to death, we do not.
Freezing to death, not the skin. So, I was hard, I was hard on myself, and I say harsh. Internally, I constantly was scolding myself. You can do better. You're not good enough. More practice. Kind of forcing constantly. And so, although I definitely was a lot of benefit to do all these bows, and and do all these practices, but I was doing them from the place of force, willpower, like using muscle to go day by day. And hurry very fast. So it was not a sense of composure, be settled. It was rushing everywhere, very kind of, little bit like in the kind of nervous mode, like a little bit frantic, it's like, okay, I think it's fine. Everything's okay, Dharma, where Master will say. It was not everything's okay for sure for me. So I was doing that, and I was kind of reflecting, one way what I try to do unconsciously, I want to somehow fit in, to be seen as a worthy. By the way, my Dharma name was worthy.
无仙的仙，贤
This is my Dharma name.
worthy. No 贤
So I try to be worthy, show up in the way that people can accept me, that I can be welcome, I can be part of the community. So I have to really show up. I'm very good. And searching, and of course it was my inner disposition. I did it many times before too. When I was in party zone, I tried to grab attention, tell the stories, be a funny kind of, cool guy, here and there. Here I changed the, toys. I was a hardcore cultivator to grab people's attention. So instead of practicing from the place of inner transformation of the heart, really see what's happening there, meet with understanding and let go, I was performing. It was performance. Theater. It's this kind of sour look. I'm now in the Chan cultivator from Poland, don't forget, we are hard, So the irony of it, usually when we're doing this, we don't see ourselves. I was in the kind of a mission mode, do my bows, do everything, but it was hard. It was not bringing this a sense of release and well-being. Any comments?
Any comment? Okay, well, let me see. I'm just doing this spontaneously, so you also have your own reflections. I actually thought Jing Wei Shi's reflections on the practice being hard, harsh, and in a hurry is something that I myself also did. And I see somehow it's a little bit in DRBA culture sometimes. There's we have a very ascetic kind of spirit, so we're hard. 1 meal a day, sleeping, sitting up. You don't wear much clothing because you freeze to death and you do not steam. You don't eat very much because you starve to death and you do not beg, right? And you try to use no money because you're not going to use, waste resources, right? You'd be very frugal. So this kind of hard energy is like, we're tough, right? And then there's a harshness to that too, is like, you get in line or you get scolded. So I hear around in the monastery, often we have a lot of stories about Master Hua scolding people. I don't know, I actually have been reflecting in Asian culture, is that like a sign of care? I'm not sure. But at least in the West, we develop this inner narrative, which can be a very harsh, judgmental voice inside, like what Jingwei was saying. You have to work harder. You're not good enough. You're a failure. And I had that for sure when I was practicing. I'm in the Buddha hall, 4 a.m., morning ceremony finishes, and 5 a.m. we got the bowing, and it's like, whoa, I'm super tired. And in my back of my mind, I just have this, it's interesting when I'm bowing, I'm very quiet, the back of my mind is saying, you're lazy, work harder, work harder. How come you're not, really fully focused? It's like this background mind just kind of constantly pushing me. And it allows me to do the schedule, because it's a hard schedule. You start at 4 and you go to 9:30, and there's only like 30 minutes or so of free time. So it's a tough. And you're always in a hurry because you're always getting to the next ceremony. I'm always behind schedule. Like, okay, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, can kind of go quickly, change, get to work, oh, we got now the meal offering, we got meal offering, you can't be late, because then you check your name, okay, so you're always kind of a little bit in this rush. And so I just see that that's kind of somehow built into our culture a little bit. And I'm not quite sure if that's kind of was there from the beginning, but at least for us, we found that actually doesn't lead to a deep sense of well-being. I think that the Dharma Master Hua did set up a kind of ascetic rigor so that we actually purify our hearts and live a very simple life. I think he wanted us to be very vigorous and really encouraged us, and sometimes scolded if we're lazy, but it's not because he thought we were no good, it's because he thought we were really good. He wanted us to become Buddhas, right? And it's not rush, it's like really deeply work hard, relax, but do things, appropriately moment to moment, And so anyways, my reflection is that's actually somehow built into the culture a little bit, and I picked it up for sure. And I think how we survived is because we actually tried it really hard, and at some point we broke. And that's actually what happened. Also, you guys will get to the story a little bit of breaking.
Yeah, slowly build it up.
Slowly break up. And I think the other one, I think is actually quite important, is this performance versus transforming, right? Perform versus transform. Is that also what I found myself was I was really trying to perform for everybody else as well. Going to the monastery where we have to wear our robes, and if we mess up, somebody goes, you're doing this wrong or something. It's like, what happens is rather than me looking into my heart and finding well-being, I'm looking all around, hoping people will accept me, like what Jingwei says. Also I was like pretty much one of the youngest people at the monastery. Pretty much the only real, as I said, like American who was like doing the schedule day in and day out, and it was like me, and then I look in front of me and there's all Chinese people who are much older than I am. And what my experience was when I talk with people, it's like, I could see that they don't understand what I'm saying, because I just come from a different culture. And so I felt very lonely. It's like I don't know how to connect with the people here, but I'm trying my best. I'm trying to make sure that I check all the boxes I see that the Chinese people here think I need to do, so I can be here and practice, So anyway, that's quality of transforming versus performing, I think, is a very important one to kind of pay attention to too, because I think that's very easy to slip into in the Dharma when we start practicing the Dharma.
And in some sense, when we start the spiritual journey, we often bring what we learn in our kind of worldly life.
Yeah.
We want to succeed, be seen, not even succeed, be seen as a successful. And this is the problem. Because it's great to succeed the practice, become a Buddha and walk Bodhisattva path. But be seen in this way, and we judge ourselves how our people see us. It's become a habitual almost. And then I couldn't see that. I didn't have resources I was in survival mode. Yeah. So it was another kind of element, because you sleep a little, like few hours, you do all this hard work through the day, and you become, as I mentioned, I go to bowing, I fall asleep, and you become a little bit like a zombie,
Yeah, you become like a zombie.
Yeah.
Plug into that, okay, just stay focused, don't fall down, whatever you say.
Don't fall down, and it's, when you, for instance, the main thought, when you do evening ceremony, Namo Amito So people focus on the Buddha's name. I focus to not fall asleep or fall down. Walking around, be careful, stand up, you know. Yeah, well, you know, and as mentioned, using this willpower, forcing, and it leads to injuries. And I, I was, on the top of it, I started doing Tai Chi. And try to succeed that too, you know, work with my hamstring. And bend from, you know, not from the waist, from the hips, but kind of pushing myself to ideal posture.
Yeah.
So what we say in the yoga, we learn through our experiences.
Yeah, I hurt myself through yoga. You know, I was trying to do all these, you know, shoulder stands and forward bends. But I was coming through forcing, like, wait, I'm gonna really get down there, you know? And it's like, ooh.
Yeah. So, I a little bit injured my back, and at the time my brother decided to get married and have a wedding. So I returned. I was still a man, student, and so I returned to Poland to join you know, to attend that wedding. And my back really went bad after I returned.
Yeah.
You know, it's constant pain, you know, day and night. And those of you who have some those kind of pain, it's like a tooth ache.
Toothache. Yeah, toothache.
It's constant. You don't know how to find a position in yourself. It's like, whoa, it is tough. So end up having surgery. You know, okay. But after the surgery, I have to lie down for a few months, so I cannot back to City of 10,000 Buddhas. So, and it was quite a miserable time too, because, you know, you start to really appreciate your, you know, fact that you can walk. I was very fortunate. My grandma came, my parents at the time went to Thailand for some trip, and she helps me kind of with every step, took me from the bed and walked slowly to the restroom. You know, I cannot eat, I can only eat on the kind of the position, so to build this kind of big pyramid to eat like this, lying down. But so one was this kind of the body was crushed, but also was interesting to be in the environment when I was before, when I left. And it was a very good medicine for me. Although I suffer a lot, as I mentioned, I make this suffering for myself, maybe. And the city of
That's true. You create a lot of suffering for yourself.
I just make the suffering for myself. But I started seeing things what I didn't see, what I lived there. That actually people, in many ways, were very caring.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, I never have an experience someone really scolded me in the city of 10,000 Buddhas for whole my life, entire experience. And, you know, it was at some moments, but, you know, it was not any very real drama. And being in the monastery, have this rhythm, starting day in the morning, with the, you know, mantras, being with the community of cultivators, all of us on the same page. Here I'm in Poland, and nobody understands me, really. You know, and I was kind of, you remember that one of the Asian philosophers, I think Heraclit, he says, you cannot step into the river twice.
You cannot step in the same river.
Same river.
Same river.
The
twice.
same river twice. So I kind of back, and this river was different in the lay life, you know. And I have a little thought, maybe, should I back to it and what to do? But it was very sobering. I got a very sobering messages, being family dynamics. You know, it's interesting to look at my, you know, parents and my stepmother. They okay, get along, but it's like almost the same script. They always have the same fight about the same things all the time. It's kind of boring, But for them, not. It's very clear, No, you should do this in this way, It's like, guys, can you get along, I'm lying down with my broken back, and have to listen that. Normal things. It was nothing dramatic, but it's simple things what make your life miserable. And so at some point, Gene Trasher sent me the email. Well, the visa is come to expire pretty soon. You have to back.
You gotta come back.
You have to come back. I said, yeah, I'm back. I'm clear. So, because my back still was healing, we find out that Berkeley would be the best place to heal. Berkeley Buddhist Monastery, and it became a little bit our kind of recovery center.
Yeah. So Jing Weisher moved to Berkeley, something?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jing Weisher at that point moved to Berkeley, and I was already at Berkeley too, because I was also in recovery. I had to get surgery for my chest. I won't go through the whole story, but basically I was also at Berkeley. I actually remember when I first came to Berkeley, Rav Hung Sher, because Rav Hung Sher doesn't really see us as like someone who's training monks. He says, we're getting you back to CDB as soon as possible. But I remember staying there and still keeping the CDB schedule on my own, waking up early, bowing, in the morning, doing the Great Compassion Repentance every day, because I felt that was the training. I need to keep it up if I'm going to still maintain the discipline, right? And it was not easy, and it definitely was a kind of loneliness because there wasn't the whole community around to support. But it was interesting. But in Berkeley, all of a sudden, I got a chance to see myself from a different lens. I could start to see myself. Oh wow, I have this real deep kind of resentment towards the ceremonies. It's very interesting. All of a sudden, I took away the structure of the city, and I could feel inside that inner harshness, kind of which I was using before to force myself. It's like I had this deep resentment. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, whoa, what's this coming from? I still do it, but I could feel inside. It's like this. Wow, I really don't want to do this. What's going on? But I now had a space because I didn't have any eyes watching me. I wasn't performing for anybody. I was just by myself, right? And so that was an interesting kind of moment, kind of coming to Berkeley and staying there. And then now Jing Weisher shows up. Marek, because Marek now has joined the team.
Yeah, it was 2014. But before I go to this part, I should mention, when I return with Poland, I return with something new in my heart. In Theravada, they call samvega.
Yeah.
That urgency, that, whoa, I don't want to waste this life. I really be in the hospital, go with all the procedures. It was you remember I told the story before in the cancer hospital, I saw the patients and I saw that one is bed waiting for me. Now I was a patient, and it's a different story when you observe someone suffering and you experience yourself that, and I was quite young. And so it gave me a kind of a confidence, wow. And this difficulty is also what I mentioned, compared to get to the restroom and walk the healing process. It was not that tough, the daily schedule and so forth. And I start really appreciate that kind of the wooden fish. I start missing in the morning. It's like, oh. But it was important to really remove from it and return and start appreciate that. So that was a very important moment. And now,
and one thing. So samvega, I guess, is a very important term because sometimes we don't get a translation for it. So let's help the Chinese. So samvega is actually what the Buddha felt when he saw old age, sickness, and death. That's the kind of they describe. He experienced samvega, this kind of urgency about, wow, we live and we die. We cannot waste this time, right? We really need to make our life, kind of cherish our life and cultivate. So that's the Samvega. It's a very wholesome quality. It's a kind of a little bit, energy. I was talking about this hurry. I think actually the hurry is Samvega. Hurry, we go to like this panic, that's not skillful. But Samvega is like, whoa, we need to cherish every moment of our lives.
Yeah, and something clicked in my heart, because when I recognize that, I can go from this hardship from different place. It's like, well, the life is no joke. I will be old. I will die, for sure. My parents will die. What are you waiting for? And it was very kind of so resonant and clear. And it's said, I think in Chinese they say, if you're not ready, 10,000 horses cannot force you in. If you're ready, 10,000 horses can take you out.
The ready is becoming a monk
Yeah.
or nun, right? Yeah, Chujia, if you want to leave home, but that's not the time, 10,000 horses can't pull you in.
And it was like it's okay, it's no negotiation now. I have that a little bit, but it's softened. I remember I mentioned this cultural shock and can I fit in? When I went, I remember I can go everywhere is a monastery. Antarctica, no problem. I go there. Any accessible place to cultivate, I want to go there because it's no joke. I will be suffer anyway in the end, right?
Yeah.
This is what kind of what was my orientation at the time. So I came with this clarity in my heart. Okay.
May I add something too?
Yeah.
Okay, let me add. I actually think this is something that's actually, I don't know if it's a requirement for monastic life, but I definitely found it very helpful for the monastic life. But I also had that moment too when I won't go through all the details, but I remember, being at home, and I think I mentioned my mom wasn't super supportive at the time of becoming a monk, although she now is very happy, but at the time, definitely she was not happy. And she was actually getting a lot of people to explain to me why it was not a good idea. Even DRBA disciples telling me, it's not a good idea to become a monk. You should just be a layperson and support the monastery, because you try to be a monk there and you'll cui xing and you won't come back. Like, I remember one evening, sitting. Actually, I was not even on the couch. I was just leaning back against the couch and I was just crying. I was saying, I really feel this is my life calling. This is my life calling. But there's just so many obstructions. My mom is so happy with me. I feel like really hurting her. My dad's not supportive. People are telling me this is not a good path. This is not going to work. And I remember in my heart is this kind of thing says, oh, you know what? I'll die doing this. I don't care what's the situation. I'm just going to do my life with this. The end. And to me, that's the kind of the Samvega. It's like, this is it. Regardless of the conditions, I'm going there.
Same.
Yeah. And I found that kind of energy is what carries the monastic energy and the deepest point. That's why the freezing to death, we do not steam, starving to death, we do not beg. To me, that's the Master Hua's energy. You do this, and not because the conditions are perfect for you. It's because you do this because you know this is the way out, and you'll give your life for it. And I think this can be for monastic life, but I think it also applies for lay life. Because I realized over the years, cultivation is just not being a monastic. If you're a layperson, you give your life for the Dharma, and my experience is the Dharma responds. You give your life to it. And then things start to transform in very profound ways. Because otherwise, we're still in Mara's claws. Because we're still getting captured by Mara's tricks. And we say, we're going out of here. It's like all of a sudden, his claws can hold us so tight. And the Buddha's light can hold us.
And it's very critical, as Jin Chuan says, for both. If you're a layperson or not. So we are very inspiring to see people come here for the Shuang Dhamma Mantra recitation. Put your heart into it. Because, get up in the morning is easy? No. But you can tell from experience, but it is this kind of resolution. I will wake up in the morning, no matter what. I will not listen to this little, maybe stay longer, little voice. I will get up. I will show up. And we build this discipline, so we don't think too much anymore. Oh, I'm a little bit tired. Okay, go. It is kind of a little bit heroic kind of an element into it in being the monastery. So it's kind of unclear. At the same time, of course, we need to know how to take care of ourselves. And I illustrate probably well that if you don't care and we push too much and too long, you can lead to painful consequences. And unfortunately, we need to take care of our bodies, or unfortunately, we need to take care of our bodies. But it's a clear purpose for it, to not look great and beautiful, but to take care of the beauty in the heart.
Yeah, so maybe add then, so what I found though, although I had that kind of energy to say, I'm really going to cultivate, so what that went into though was hard, harsh, and hurry, right? So rather than that going, so it's a kind of vigor that says, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to retreat. But then that vigor has to be used skillfully. So what I found was, in starting out, actually the main pressure I felt, I actually never told my mom, was I actually felt like since I was causing so much pain for the family, I better give my whole life for this. Because if I hurt my family, I don't give my whole life for this, really this is doing my filial. So that was kind of like my inner kind of like super ego, kind of guilt and forcing. And that's not a skillful ground to come from. It's not like I have to like prove myself to myself. It has to be coming from this deep sense of well-being that I'm nurturing in my heart. So the vigor of realizing the Dharma isn't about forcing, it's about relaxing into this deeper gratitude that then allows us to sustain the practice for a lifetime. And in the relational field we develop by caring for the people around us. That's the other thing I see for our lay communities, is actually being a very good mother or being a good father is very important. I was very touched when we were at the recent funeral for Ocean Epstein. Even though Ron Epstein was the first Western disciple, and Ocean, I think at one point, maybe it spoke with our Master Hua and said, I don't have the time to do all this cultivation because I have to be, a mom and take care of my children. Just make being a mother your cultivation. So I think this actually, it's not saying that cultivation is only in the Buddha, like cleaning the bathrooms. It's like taking care of children, right? That's super important in these current times. So for me, being monastics is important, but having good Buddhist families is also very important if the Dharma is going to survive this new generation. So.
And our reflection is, what is the best gift what the parents, if they wish the kids will walk the Buddhist path? Be happy, joyful. Do this with joy. It's maybe most people really don't know Mr. Rogers.
I don't know. Do you know Mr. Rogers? Not so much in Australia.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers was actually learned from you about him.
Yeah.
When we give the talk about Bodhisattva examples, I bring one Polish hero, to bring Mr. Rogers. And when I watch his speech in the Senate in 1969, it's like, wow, who is this man? And I almost listen everything what is available from him. So Mr. Rogers was he had a whole program for children, and he kind of support their well-being, go through the different emotions, and basically he taught them how to be human in the very gentle and caring way. And once he has an interview of Charlie Rose, if I remember, and he asked Charlie Rose, so what do you want to accomplish from your broadcast? Because usually in the broadcasting business, you want to reach millions, right? Many viewers, this is how you see success. And he says, no, I'm not going for numbers. If I can have only one adult, if the children have one adult in their life who doing what they love to in the front of the children, I think will be the best gifts that they can offer to them. And he says that once he invited the Yo-Yo Ma, he playing a cello player, cello player, and interview him. It was very engaging kind of a time in the program. And after the program, many parents and kids sent the letters. We want to play cello. So the Charlie Rose says, "Oh, because the Yo-Yo Ma came." No, because he loves to play. And my sense is, if we can say the same do for the practice, Dharma practice, if we come with the sense of joy, gratitude, appreciation, it's contagious. Then people seeing us happy doing practice, uphold the precepts, taking care of, daily things. This is one of the best gifts to other cultivators, and I think for the families itself.
Yeah. Okay, so come back to BBM.
What is the timing? Because
I think maybe 8:25.
or we can what usually
8:25.
finish,
Maybe 8:25.
because we can finish or can continue tomorrow too.
What would you say? Stop here?
Stop
Okay,
here.
so we can
Okay.
finish here. Okay, so we can.
Or maybe last question or some question from anyone.
Questions, okay. Any questions?
Because we don't have a chance to ask anyone. Okay.
Okay. Once a month.
Once a month.
He went once a month.
Yeah.
Why did you stick to DRBA?
It's a good question.
Good question.
Good question. I stick to the debate. Honestly, I think that I don't know if I have a thought. I love to be there. I was very inspired. I'm still inspiring. But from beginning, my path was the Bodhisattva path. Service was the most important for me. And even I extremely admire their practice and, with full heart bow to them, what they do. When I start learning what Master Huas offers, the scope of his Dharma, his vows, it was very clear that, no, I'm in. I'm in. And also was even more clear how, and slowly to come to me through the process, how we can create something what they have and Master Hua wanted, how to bring this Dharma to the West. How make this, bridge that everyone can feel welcome and at home. I think this is the main things. What's kind of this is my family.
One more, okay.
Yeah.
What was the catalyst for you to go all in?
I mentioned my mom left when I was 10, and it went through a lot of hardship and tried to find the way out. But always was kind of a numbing and kind of try to connect to the heart, feel okay with myself. So it's kind of a deep searching. When I found the Dharma, I said, oh, this is the real deal here. This is the real medicine. And also I went many mistakes, and I was very clear. It was bring me a lot of suffering and embarrassment, and I didn't want to live this life anymore. So I was at the beginning very motivated, you know. I make a very clear vow. I think that what's bring to the next level, vows. You know, they slowly appears, kind of with little commitment and grow to like, you know, I can die for it, you know. And it's even more important, it's not important how long I live, do I live according with these vows? Because living not according with the purpose is not worthy of living. For me, it was in this some point that almost in this kind of way. So we can talk definitely tomorrow because it was the few shifts also happened, and really to bring to this practice to 3D and kind of find that like, woo, now I can play this game, you know, or be inspired by Bodhisattva path in the way that I never can imagine. It was a few elements. That would be as a teaser for tomorrow.
Teaser for tomorrow. Well, next episode. You have to come back for the next episode of our podcast. Okay, so I think we can do our dedication of merit, and I hope to see everyone tomorrow, another day of practice here at Gold Coast Dharma Realm. So 就是圆一次功德，那就结束。Okay, 好。We'll do the dedication of merit in Chinese, 圆一次功德, and then so stand up slowly, don't hurt yourself. And I'm sitting on the floor.
Amen.